Welcome to TRS Clips, where you'll find happiness through your own curiosity. I recently saw a film which, the moment I completed, landed into my top 10 films I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And you wait for films like this. You wait for films to enter your top 10 list.
I see.
I have to tell you about it.
Do please.
Okay. So this movie that broke into my top 10 is a movie called Society of the Snow.
Society of the Snow.
Yes. And I highly recommend it to all the viewers, listeners, everyone who's tuned into this episode. Deeply impactful movie. Spiritual movie. Most of all, it's based on a true incident. And I warn you, it's a discomforting watch.
I see.
Okay? The movie is about the 1972 plane crash in the Andes Mountains. You've heard of this story?
Yes, I have.
Don't give out the one spoiler that I know is coming to your mind.
Yeah.
Because that one trope in the movie is one of the key elements. And I want people who've never heard of the story to actually go and watch that film.
Absolutely.
But the context that you need to know before you watch it is it'll really make you question life, survival, the positives of the journey of life. It'll discomfort you a lot. You will think about death. The plot points that you need to know is that it's based on a true story about a rugby team that was going from Uruguay to Chile for a tournament, I think. And their plane crashes in the Andes Mountains and they get isolated from the rest of the world for 2 months. So the rest of the world thinks that they're dead. No one really goes out to search for them and they're not able to find them. Searchers are not able to locate them. So they have to survive in the Andes Mountains. And there's a very detailed trajectory of what happens. I had read about the story. I'm sure you've read about the story.
Yes.
The first time I read about the story years ago, my first thought was, damn, someone needs to make a movie on this. And if they do it well, it'll be one of the greatest movies ever. This movie hit the spot. For me, it was a 10 on 10 movie.
Okay.
Nothing I would change.
I see.
Spanish movie, there is an English dub available.
I see.
Cannot recommend it enough.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I will.
What do you think of just dark and discomforting films? Because I've seen that with the audience members, the younger audience members are very chill with them. They actually look forward to darker films, which is why darker content is working. I see a lot of people my age and above not so positive about consuming too much dark content because they believe that, they watch movies for just entertaining themselves or to feel better about life. But I think once in a while a discomforting movie should be watched. And for me, it's the reason I watch movies. I want movies to up a little bit. I want to be able to think about that movie for weeks after I've watched it. Sometimes, if you're giving 2.5, 3 hours to something, you want it to have an impact on you.
You do, yes.
My question to you is, which is that movie for you?
Oh, I've seen so many movies. I'm a huge movie buff. If I had the chance, I would not mind watching 2 movies a week on the big screen. If good movies were to be available on the big screen.
And if it's a guarantee that, this movie will be good.
Yeah.
Like, if I know the outcome of the movie, I'll watch the movie. But it takes me a lot to take a recommendation from people because I don't think too many great films are made nowadays.
Nowadays, you don't see too many great movies. It's really hard to find good movies these days.
I believe there'll be a bounce back. Martin Scorsese had said something about this. I think his quote, just pull up the quote. Martin Scorsese had said something along the lines of, the Avengers films have killed cinema. Because everything has become a superhero movie. Because
it's all formulaic.
Yeah.
Formula.
Producers go wherever the money is. And for the last 10, 15 years, just like Martin Scorsese, Avengers. For the last 10 to 15 years, Hollywood was fully focusing on Avengers films and superhero films.
Yeah.
So, type Martin Scorsese, Avengers. He expressed his belief that Marvel movies lack the depth and emotional complexity he associated with traditional cinema. And that is so
That is so true. Absolutely. Could not agree more. Yeah.
What is a great film you have watched from the 90s, 80s, 70s, whenever?
Oh, I've seen so many great movies. As a kid, I loved Star Wars. There's the hero's journey in there,
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker starts from nowhere. He's a farm hand. And he's a good for nothing kid. And then he goes and becomes this hero. And he goes through this entire personal journey and evolution and all that. So you had Star Wars. I loved science fiction. I watched Alien, scared the heebie-jeebies out of me as a little kid. Then I watched Aliens 2, 3, all that. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Tremendous movie. You learn so much from these movies. I've watched Japanese movies, Yojimbo, The Seven Samurai, and so on. I've seen Akira Kurosawa.
What's the vibe of Japanese movies?
Oh, very artistic. I mean, many of these Western movies, the cowboy movies were copied from that. For example, what's the Dirty Seven or Deadly Seven or something? It's copied from one of maybe the Seven Samurai or something.
They copy the story?
They've taken the theme and the story and they've turned it into a Western movie, a cowboy movie.
Theme is what?
The theme is that there are 7 samurai who come to this town that is being outrun, that's been overrun by outlaws, and then they re-establish order and that sort of thing. That's the overall kind of storyline in
Got it.
That sort of thing. So I've seen so many movies. There are so many movies. I have watched dark movies as well. One of the movies I can recall is called Event Horizon. It's kind of a science fiction movie with horror elements in it. I remember watching The Ring, which was kind of a very dark movie. The entire color palette is dark and blue and green and all that.
It really pulls you into that demonic world
when
you watch The Ring.
So there's no gore in that. There are no jump scares. It's all psychological horror. You know? Yeah. It's a very intense and deep movie, The Ring.
Yeah, I don't think too many people have seen The Ring.
Oh, it's a great movie. It's one of the classics.
Like, I hear people my age and older than me talk about The Ring a lot. I never hear a younger person talk about The Ring, but this movie scared the shit out of you without jump scares.
No jump scares.
When you were a kid.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Like, the scenes with the ghost are actually stretched over 4, 5, 6 minutes. They have these entire edited montages, and the whole montage is meant to slowly scare you.
Slowly pull you in, and it won't let you go. Samara. I mean, it's a remake of a Japanese movie, Ringu. And the original ghost was called Sadako. And they remade this into a Hollywood movie, and the first one worked out really well. The second one kind of was let down. But yeah, that's how things typically go. Yeah. One of the recent movies that was great was Interstellar. It's kind of a classic today. It's already becoming a classic.
I wanted to talk about Interstellar to you in detail. Interstellar is one of those very rare movies that ages like fine wine.
Oh, yeah.
Every time you watch it, you gain something else. And if you keep watching it as you age, you pull out a new aging lesson. And I am 100% sure that Christopher Nolan thought of that when he was constructing that movie. When I first saw it, it was a lot of data to take in. The second time I saw it, I understood the story way better, because that's the case with many Nolan films. You need to see it the second time to truly understand the depth of it. The third time I saw it, I realized the finesse in filmmaking and the finesse in editing and the music and how it adds to the whole film. The fourth time I saw it, I understood what he was actually trying to say, which is that human emotions are the most powerful thing in the universe.
At the end of the day, it's an emotional story. It's about emotions, very powerful emotions. So I've seen the movie twice. I saw it twice within a week's time on the big screen. The first time I was like blown away with the whole thing. The second time I just wanted to re-experience those emotions again. I mean, it's a science fiction movie. I mean, the black hole is perfect, from a general relativity perspective. But at the end of the day, it's an emotional story. And very few movies evoke those emotions. You know how guys are. We tend to be stoic. We're not too emotional. I mean, most of us are emotional, but we don't display or advertise those emotions.
Unless one of us scores a goal. And then the other guys crowd around.
So that's the kind of movie that evokes certain emotions, kind of like Gladiator. Gladiator is also one of those guys' movies, right? I mean, they say that girls cry when they watch Titanic and guys cry when they watch Gladiator. That sort of thing. So yeah.
Wow, I just got goosebumps when you said that. For people who've seen Gladiator.
Oh, great movie, yeah. So yeah, there are certain movies that stand out. Matrix is one of those movies. The original, the first one, Matrix. Tremendous movie.
Makes you question reality.
Oh yeah, they escape the Matrix.
What's a nice movie recommendation that you'd give out to people other than Interstellar?
Oh, look, I love all kinds of movies. I would say Mask. Watch The Mask if you want a riot of laughs. You want to laugh a lot? Watch The Mask. Jim Carrey. I mean, who's funnier than Jim Carrey? If you want fantasy, watch The Lord of the Rings. That's a 3-part series. If you want science fiction, there's so many. My childhood favorite is obviously Star Wars. There's Matrix. There are so many more these days. I'm not sure what, but I can give so many examples. I mean, so many movies I've watched. The Fifth Element, science fiction and comedy comes together. It's from the turn of the century. Really funny movie, but some people hate it, some people like it. I love it personally. So many movies. The Matrix. I could maybe put out a list of 50 movies and make a list or something. But yeah, I love movies. I mean, it's part of culture. It's part of growing up. It's part of experiencing the world. Sometimes you learn things from it. Sometimes you just forget about whatever you're up to and just immerse yourself in that. So great fun.
I have my list of movies that are linked down below from a past solo podcast.
All right, all right.
Again, for me, it's all about dark, twisted, etc., etc. The one movie I watched which wasn't dark and twisted, but I enjoyed it a lot. I watched it recently. It's an Indian movie. It's a Hindi movie. It's called Kho Gaye Hum Kahan.
Kho Gaye Hum Kahan.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got Siddhant Chaturvedi, Adarsh Gaurav, and Ananya Pandey. All three acted incredibly well. I think the director isn't getting as much public credit as he should, because I would believe that he's the writer as well. It's not an evergreen film in terms of people will watch it 30 years later, possibly not relate. Older generations may not relate, but anyone who's active on social media and understands how social media can change your experience of life will relate immensely.
I see.
Like, I will show this movie to my kids as a bit of a time capsule to tell them that, hey, you know, this is what daddy had to do to make this house for you. But that's the first thought I had after seeing the film. Very real representation of urban India in 2023 and 4 and 5 possibly.
I see.
And a lot of the psychological problems, a lot of the status-oriented problems, a lot of the social media-related problems. Incredible film.
I see.
And it's one of those films where you really want to know what happens next, despite there not being a very intense storyline.
I see.
It's just everyday lives of these characters. Relatable. You know a version of Ananya Pandey around you. You know a version of Siddhant Chaturvedi. You know a version of Adarsh Gaurav.
I see.
That's the feeling it evokes, and it has some deep dialogue, some non-verbal scenes, things that they do, you know, how they interact with their own cell phones, which we take for granted now because actually it's a body part.
Almost like, yeah, true. Yeah, agree.
Now it's as impactful on your life as your brain in so many ways. Would you argue?
It's an extension of your brain, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Extension of your personality, extension of your brain.
Yeah.
The way you choose your background to be on your phone. Do you keep your phone on vibrate or loud? It says so much about you.
It says so much about it.
Something we never think of.
Yeah.
That movie will make you think about things like this.
I see.
There'll be lots of people who won't relate to the film, won't like the film. But if you're someone who's living in urban India, oh my God. I would argue the urban world, not just urban India, because now urban India is on par with how the urban world thinks. Like when I talk to people I meet from America or Europe, the problems are the same. The insecurities are the same. The cultural likes and dislikes are the same. The icons are the same. The processes of content creation and content consumption are the same.
Definitely.
So for that whole segment of people, oh my God. Tempted to watch it?
Oh, certainly. I'll check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other one, Society of the Snow. Which one would you rather watch, honestly?
I would first go with Society of the Snow because that's a really raw story, a really emotional story. I know the storyline, but I would like to see how it's depicted. And obviously it'll bring the entire thing, it'll hit home when you watch it, I'm sure. So yeah.
Every dialogue matters in Society of the Snow. Not in the way that Nolan's dialogues matter, where you have to keep up with the plot, but just every dialogue is poetic. That's all I'll say. Hey, if you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out all the other clips we've uploaded on this channel. You'll find a clip related to almost every single topic as long as you're willing to search for it.